Good afternoon, everybody. This is Lauren Cohen. I'm an international lawyer and cross-border expert, and I'm also a licensed realtor. And I am here today hosting my podcast, Investing Across Borders, where we teach you how to invest, live, work, and play across borders. And I'm here with a wonderful, very special guest, Reid. Greg and I met about a year and a half ago through some mutual friends, and we keep on reconnecting. And actually, through Clubhouse is how I convinced him to join me on this podcast. Greg is the founder of Secret Knock, which I'm going to let him share some information about, and just a very close friend of CEO Space, of many of my partners and strategic partners and alliances. And he is in the wonderful city of Carlsbad, just outside of San Diego, California. So Greg, thank you for being here today. Give us just a little brief bio about you and where you came from, and what brings you here today? What does being of contribution to others mean to you?
Wow, you bring me here today, and it's really interesting because you're right. It is a small little niche world where our circles tend to our planets keep aligning for some reason. So the universe is telling us we need to do something. So I kind of like that. And yeah, it's Clubhouse. And yes, we're also connected on LinkedIn. And yes, we're also connected on Instagram. And yes, we're also connected on email and our friends and our associations. You know what's interesting? I find so many people get these amazing contacts on their phone. They go to these networking events and then they wait for the perfect time to reach out. And the best time is now because
Always.
people are looking for collaborations and new, affiliate partners more than ever. And I'm glad you and I have rekindled our friendship, and I look forward to seeing what's coming next.
You are so right. I say about the COVID that the two things that I have found to be most relevant, I guess, for me, or the silver lining, which I'm always about silver lining, are one, relationship capital, joint ventures, partnerships, without relationships, if we were not focused on relationships, I don't think we would have survived this. That's first. And the second is just being open-minded, bringing value to each other. For me, there's been amazing stuff that happened because I'm a single mom, and it's not always easy for me to travel and speak. And now I've been able to speak on platforms literally all over the world. So that's why I was never at one of your events, just because I couldn't find the time to get there. So it is an amazing thing, and how the world is small. And as long as we are good to each other, we'll end up working together with the good people eventually. So tell us a little bit about what that means for you, is being of contribution to others. Obviously, there's a lot of interpretation of that, but what drives you?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I used to always have on my tagline, "How can I be of service?" And people would constantly bug me and want me to go work for them for free. And I realized by doing research, the original definition of service was to be in servitude and to be enslaved. And so I changed it to, "How may I be of contribution?" And I'm telling you, the energy changed immediately. And all of a sudden people say, "Hey, do you have a contact over here?" Or, "How can we do some alliance, partnerships and things of this nature?" So I believe just the simple little change of wording is very impactful in today's society. And we're seeing it even like my son. He's 8 years old, and you're a single mom, a single dad. Hey, we should get together like Brady Bunch, right? And so the whole concept is, he would come to me and say, the friends would say, "Hey, I can't afford that." And my son would say, "Hey, Dad, how can I afford that?" Interesting, right?
Reframing.
Just a small, slight change, yet it's a completely different paradigm. I know another person who swears and he says the F word a lot. And he added one word on the end of it and changed everything, where he'd sit there and go, "F," and then go, "Yeah."
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? And it's kind of like, things go wrong, go, "F," go, "Yeah." Because there's always, hey, Napoleon Hill said it best, through every adversity, there's a greater equal opportunity on the other side of it. And that's how my friends and I tend to see things, is what's coming next.
100%, because I think that, even last night, this is kind of silly, but I was watching the Meghan and Harry interview, right? And they were talking about how they felt so isolated from the palace, I guess. It's kind of a little strange, but they were saying how people don't really understand, or hadn't really understood, what it meant to be isolated until now. Because in some way, we have all had our own form, whatever that form took, of isolation. And if we didn't pivot a little bit, which I want to talk to you about Secret Knock and how you pivoted, if we didn't pivot just a little bit, and sometimes it was more than a little bit, we would not be able to, flourish and grow and bring that contribution to others. So tell me a little bit about Secret Knock. Where did the name come from? What is it? How, I mean, you've got it. How many countries are you in? That's a big deal for my audience because we are in pretty much every country in the world. And what is your plan for it? And how did you pivot? That's a lot of questions, Greg.
I was gonna say, let me go down the list on that one. So, and thanks for setting it up on a T-ball. So, yeah, we started an event called Secret Knock about 15 years ago, and we became Forbes Inc. Entrepreneurs Top Business Event for business leaders and networking by not promoting, by not talking about it, and by keeping it under the wraps. And it's invite only by cool people. And if you're watching this or you're listening to this, you're one of those cool people because you're already separating yourself from the 95% who dream of success to the top 5% who actually achieve it. And a lot of people understand my background is I write books and I have an opportunity to meet and interview the most amazing human beings and tell their stories through literature and major motion pictures. And folks would say, how do I meet your friends? So I started this event in my living room and people said, do I need a ticket? And I go, no, I'll know when you're there. Just do the Secret Knock as a joke. And it went on to become a global phenomenon.
Oh,
And we have people from countries all around the globe join us. And it's very exclusive. We're known as the greatest event you cannot attend unless you're invited. And once you're invited, you have to fill out an application to make sure we can be of contribution to you and that you bring value to our group. And as long as there is, once we bring in your tuition to join us, we still will not tell you where it is or who will be there. You just have to trust us. We just tell you the city, state, and date so you can book your flights. And then right before we leak the location so that the members can join us. And by doing that, for example, last year we brought Presidente Vicente Fox from Mexico, and he didn't want Secret Service or things of this nature. The year before, we did a private Skype with Edward Snowden while he's hiding in Russia. And the year before, we brought in, Tonino Lamborghini, Mr. Lamborghini from Italy. And by keeping it very, under wraps, you don't have to have a name tag. You don't have to have a wristband. You don't have to be a special person. Once you're in, you're in. There's no VIP. Everyone is the equal and the same. So we started this event, and I got to tell you, it'll literally blow your mind when you come do it because your resources, your personal Rolodex will change forever.
yeah. I hear you. And I love the fact that it's by invitation only. And actually, I think when it's kind of ironic that we reconnected on Clubhouse, which is by invitation only, although a different level of invitation, certainly, because pretty much these days, if you have an iPhone, you're going to get an invitation if you want one. But at the beginning, I don't know how long you've been on there. I've been on there about 2 months, and it was not easy to get an invitation at the beginning. They were hard to come by. When somebody offered one to me, I was like, oh, okay. I was shocked. I was like, I didn't know I was that much of an influencer, but okay. So, but it's amazing how much momentum that gets because it's not available to everybody, and you have to be invited, and then there's an obligation to invite others and reach out and be of value and contribution to others by bringing them in.
And let's talk about that. And there's a reason behind it. Look, I've spent, my entire career of 20 years reaching out and meeting and collaborating with some of the greatest minds of today's world. And the last thing I'm going to do is have someone come in just because they want to give me some money for, to join us, and they wear a tinfoil hat and talk to dead aliens through their cat. I can't let these people have access because it would ruin my relationship. So I make sure that we're all of like mind. And more importantly, like I said, or you're saying, is that they can be of contribution and add some type of value to one another so we can all experience, grow, and expand our horizons. I got really frustrated going to events where there's coaches, teachers, and mentors nonstop. I said, well, why don't I just do an event where you can hang out with someone who actually did it? So if you got an idea for a clothing line, well, here's Brian Smith. Go have tacos with him in line. He's the guy who started UGG Boots, $1 billion brand. You got an invention? Well, here's Ron Klein, the guy who invented that credit card magnetic strip that everybody uses in change banking. If you got an idea, imagine just hanging out, literally, and shooting pool with the people who've accomplished what everyone else is talking about. And that's what we put together. So again, I appreciate you setting this up. And for those people who want to come play with us, secretknock.co, fill out an application, and we look forward to seeing you in September.
So, Greg, how has your business pivoted? Like, what have you done over this past year? Because obviously, an event-driven business, you have to pivot, you have to change. Have you been doing events online? How has it been received? have you been able to access? I'm asking you too many questions at once, over and over, but I'm just excited because it's an exciting model that you have, and especially just being in the room with these. I've done it. I've done it. I don't want a coach that hasn't built a business. What good does that do me? I want a coach that scaled and sold 7 businesses or 10 businesses, and that way they can help me with mine. So how have you pivoted to continue to bring value and contribute to the impact for others?
Well, we watch the masses and then we go the other way. So I'll be very clear. So when everyone else is going on to these different platforms of the week, I'm focusing on what's important to me, where my avatar or my perfect person that I'd like to collaborate with. So for example, you mentioned Clubhouse, a really cool app. On the same note, it's kind of interesting. Someone said, what's it like? I go, imagine Reddit and Twitter, but audible version. So people can say anything. Doesn't mean it's true. Doesn't mean they're really it's just everyone can say anything. And I said, but my perfect person pretty much lives on LinkedIn. They don't live on Facebook. They don't live on LinkedIn. So what I am doing is focusing on that. In fact, this Friday, we're doing a first ever Secret Knock live stream, just as kind of like a little sample. Where I have 10-minute access to all of our amazing people, a live stream on LinkedIn, so everyone can touch and feel and get excited for September, what's coming. And so we have everyone from the former military general, the first female Hispanic general in history, to iconic celebrities you see on TV all the time. We have John Gray from Men Are from Mars, Men Are from Venus. We even have Eddie Munster from yours and my generation, coming on to just give us 10 minutes of some words of wisdom. So the whole idea is like the way that we're adjusting and adapting is trying new modalities. And we're also making sure that we're spending our time and focus towards ones that can serve us best, that we know we can serve our audience best. Yeah. So that's number one. And then last but not least, I started switching gears a little bit after being published in 110 books, 45 languages. I got a star here on the Walk of Fame for writing books.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Yeah. So what happened is I started getting into the publishing side. And I'm helping my friends and other influencers that want to get their books done from an author's standpoint to help them, get a leg up. Because, the fact of the matter is, all we need is a great ghostwriter and editors to take our words and craft in a way that people would want to see them. So we started a publishing company called JVP, Joint Venture Publishing, and it's been taken off like crazy.
That sounds great. I've written one book, well, 2. But the main book I wrote was about business immigration, which is not exactly the most exciting thing in the world. It's what I do, but it's not my passion. My passion is impacting people and making a difference through the tools I have. So I need to write another book. So maybe we can talk about that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'll see if I got one of these down here. So one of my biggest best-selling books was called Positive Impact. And because it's such a great thing, because that's what we want to do. And we realized that, you want to leave an impact, but what about honoring the people that have impacted your life? Those coaches and the teachers and the people that pushed us, sometimes positively, sometimes the other way. One of my favorite interviews was with a gal named Debbie Fields. She started Mrs. Fields Cookies. Mm-hmm. And at age 14, her mom would cook her meals, and she didn't like her mom's cooking, and she decided to boycott. And the mom says, you better eat that or you can't leave. And Debbie said, no. Midnight rolls around, you can eat that food? She said, nope. And the mom says, I'll never cook for you again a day in your life. And Debbie Fields said, excellent. That works right on my program. Your food's horrible. So she next day takes her babysitting money, goes to the store, buys ingredients, makes dinner. People love it, and a batch of cookies. At age 19, opens up her first franchise. Later on in life, sells for $500 million. And I said, your mom's basically a role model for you. And she goes, indirectly. She goes, when I started, she told me not to do it. I'm a failure. I'm a loser. I'm a woman, and I can't make it in this business. And then she said something profound that changed my life. She said, in this world, to one side, we have something called a cheering section. Mm-hmm. These are the people few and far between. There's very limited amount of these that will encourage us and tell us we'll succeed. To the other side is a giant area. There's the jeering section. Go boo, rain on our parade, tell us every reason it'll fail. She said, but it's up to us as a grown adult to stand in between those two groups and decide which one we listen to.
Well, I would think that they both have impact, certainly, because the cheering is like, rah, 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 cheer you on. But the leering is like, well, I'm going to show you. Like, it's kind of like it makes you almost do it in spite of whatever they're jeering about.
Yeah, some
So
people could have that viewpoint. For myself, I don't believe in that. So I'll give you an example. People sit there and go, "Yeah, my family and friends don't believe in my dream." Well, listen, dummy, stop telling your friends, your family, your dreams. It's on you. You're the one who chooses to do it. So I'll give you an example. If I walked into your house with a trash bag full of dirty diapers and rotten cheese and started dumping in your living room, you're going to say, "Stop, get that out of here." Yet for some reason, we'll open up our brains and let them do this. Pass. So as soon as someone starts that jeering stuff, I just sit there and say, "Thank you for your insight," and I move on because I
right.
am not going to put myself in that position. I surround myself with people that are getting the results that I want. This is the only thing different. Look, I got a D in English. I can't spell. I can't read very well. I'm dyslexic, yet I'm a famous international author. Why? Because I work my strengths and I hire my
I
weaknesses.
was just going to say, you know that there's no I in team and you stay in your lane.
Exactly. And that's it. We had a major motion picture trending on Netflix right now. We were up for an Oscar last year, yet I didn't hold the camera. No time did casting. I wasn't in the movie. I just produced it.
Right.
And so it's very important to work your strengths and hire your weaknesses. And when you have that mindset, it's amazing because so many opportunities come. And like right now, you're talking about pivoting, all this stuff. Look, there's going to be my words of wisdom. Stop pivoting, everyone. Stop. Just stop. Everything's going to open up really quick. Get ready. Because if you're not prepared for the tsunami of success that's coming your way, you are going to be in a bad way. Because so many people last year were going one direction, they went a whole nother way, and now they have to reinvent themselves again. It's going to take another year. Right now, stop digging and start going the other way. Because a quarterback never throws a football where a wide receiver is standing. They throw it downfield and let him run to it. Right now is the exact time we better start throwing some balls down the field, because I promise you, things are going to change, things are going to open. And if you're not ready for that success, you're going to be left behind.
It's definitely a great way of looking at it. I definitely have to say I agree with you. I think that we have to be punting and forward thinking. And right now, I think so many of us, a lot of entrepreneurs are just stuck. They're like, "Oh, I survived this. Oh, thank God I survived this." Like, I mean, um, definitely those of us with children that were homeschooled, that was not fun. That I did not have fun with that. However, I feel that the pandemic caused me to create more streams of opportunity for the people that I want to impact, because I realize that they're coming from all different walks and all different places. And let's talk a little bit about those different places. So, do you find in dealing with your client base or your attendees or your members
My
that
friend,
how different are they in terms of how did you deal with everybody the same? Do you have a different approach depending on where they're from? Do you notice a lot of cultural differences? Like, how does that look for you?
everything's the same. So the whole idea is a great leader is not a chameleon. But a great manager is. So, for example, a great leader always stands their true north, and then they look for people that fit and resonate and vibrate at that energy level. Where a manager has got to adapt and just to keep everyone people pleased, to keep everyone in line. So, as a leader, I stand my ground and make sure that I do not change that direction at any time. And again, it's just different conversation because I hear what you're saying. It's just it's just different to me because that's not the conversations that are in my world. That's not the conversations that are with my friends. So this whole time we kept going complete opposite of that. We're just looking for opportunity. For
Yeah.
example, when we got shut down, like everyone, I'm not a genius and I'm not giving financial counsel. I'm just going to share with the way we talked about it. We sit there and say, okay, well, the biggest coffee, shop in the world shut down because everyone's stuck at home now. So their stock went down in half. I'm not a genius, but what I did is I went and bought that stock and realizing in a few months, things will open up, throw the football downfield. And when they open up, where's the first place they're going to go? Back to that coffee shop. Oh, double the thing. Now, some people have been doing that. Like me and my friends, we've been looking for these opportunities. We're investing in Bitcoin. We're investing in Ethereum. We're looking for what's coming next. So we're actually in a very good position right now so that we're prepared to start capitalizing on the future. Because I'm telling you right now, it's going to be literally a tsunami of opportunities that are going to come our way. This year is going to be phenomenal starting in summer.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think that that there are way too many people, unfortunately, that maybe sometimes because of mental health and whatever other reasons, but that are sitting in their box, wallowing,
Mm.
and fearful of going out of the box and fearful of stepping outside of their home. And they've allowed this lockdown or situation to impact them in ways beyond what they needed to, and it's about also about for you, you're always looking clearly at the glass half full, but that's not everybody in the world. A lot of people, unfortunately, are always looking at the glass half empty. Oh, woe is me. Oh, this and that. So I think that, you have a very positive outlook and positive spin, and that makes a huge difference in the way that you resonate with people. So
Well,
you are
also I resonate and I look for people that share that same
that share it,
philosophy.
of course.
Look, it's not my job to fix people that are that other way. That I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a therapist. I barely graduated high school. I'm just a dude. I write books and make movies and have fun at events. That's my job. And so people that want to write books with me and make movies and come to fun events, I'm your guy. But the fact of the matter is, if you don't like scary movies, don't go to a scary movie.
Right.
If you don't like comedy clubs, don't go to comedy. So the whole idea is that I look for the people that vibrate again at the level that we are and invite them into our family. So the people that are at home listening to this or watching this and saying, I'm in that fearful box, it's awesome. What that means that now this is an opportunity for you to find other positive, like-minded people that will pull you out of it. And then when you're ready, and you're ready, then we invite you to come play in our sandbox. On the same note, imagine what it would be like if we started changing our association, where people started telling us or giving ideas of what's possible. And we started laying out these things going, hey, here's an opportunity over here. Here's an opportunity over here. All of a sudden it shifts your brain and you start seeing things from that way. Because look, when the doom and gloom hit, we all went through that thing. Napoleon Hill talked about the causes of failure. And the biggest one was the fear of death. And it was the fear of the unknown and the fear of pain and all this stuff. I believe the biggest fear is the fear of judgment, the fear of criticism, what other people are thinking. And, there's a bumper sticker that says, what would you do if you couldn't fail? The big question is, what would you do to stop worrying about what people thought? Would you start that business? Would you ask someone out for a date? What would you do differently? And the only thing I think my friends and I do a little bit outside the norm is we don't bother what other people think, because the fact of the matter is that they're not thinking about us. They're dealing with their own situation.
That's
So
so
I'm
true.
dealing in my situation of seeing what's possible, what's coming next, and I work towards that. And just
Yeah.
real quick, when I wrote my first book 110 books ago, I was turned down by 268 publishers, agents, and printers in a row. And the 269th one said, we'll do it, change the title, beginning, middle, end. I sucked. So I worked my strength, which is my story, and I got a ghostwriter who recrafted it, went on to become a phenomenon. When I wanted to make a movie, for 6 years, I was turned down and rejected by everyone, until finally I found counsel from someone who knew what they're talking about, added that spin. And again, we made the shortlist for the Oscars, and now we're trending worldwide on Netflix. Where would things be, these stories and messages be told, if I would have let someone else talk me out of what I knew to be true?
1,000%. Fear of judgment. I mean, I can't, I can't, couldn't agree with you more. I think that, like, I'm sometimes fearful of judgment, I'll admit it. But at the end of the day, judgment is also very subjective. And like you're saying, Greg, you can't allow somebody else's determination of whether your book is good or whether your podcast is good or whether your work is good impact your determination to do what you know is right to do. And that's what you're saying here.
Yeah.
Also, I wanted to
Wait,
talk.
let's keep talking about it, because this is a good conversation. Daniel Laporte wrote this book, and it was all about the difference between non-attachment and detachment. Detachment means you don't care, but non-attachment is how I live. That means I go all in. When I write one of my books, I give it every single thing I got. But as soon as I birth it, if people like it, that's not my job. That's
I
not
see,
my
right.
concern. I'm not attached to the outcome. I'm just doing the very best that I can to make sure that everyone is taken care of, and make sure I did the very best and I honored my word. That's the best I can do to myself, but not attached to whether people accept it or not.
Love it, love it. Tell me a little bit about, I know that you, I believe, because I think I'm part of it, teach people how to run masterminds.
Well, okay, I own mastermindgroup.com. So yeah, a little bit. I think. And I founded something called mastermindassociation.com. And basically it's an online portal that people have not usually seen before, where we teach people how to do a Robert's Rules version of how to run, host, maintain a mastermind group. So you can go on to Mastermind Association and actually go through a certification program to teach you exactly how to do it. And I believe you surround yourself with people that you have respect for, not people you have influence over. So it's a great example and opportunity to reach out to people you normally wouldn't do,
Right.
so that you can build your mastermind with people that have expertise outside your own, so you can grow your own sphere of influence by adding the value that you bring from your own experience.
Excellent. I love it. I love it. Greg, how do people reach you and obviously learn about Secret Knock and see if they can qualify to come? Secretknock.co, but tell us a little bit more about how to reach you. And by the way, I agree wholeheartedly about LinkedIn. Like I have a little strategy I'm working on for a certain avatar that's my kind of ideal target avatar. And the way for me is through LinkedIn every day of the week. LinkedIn, I think we should be we should be getting commission for promoting LinkedIn. But at the end of the day, it's probably one of the best for B2B, certainly. If you're trying to get to the small client, then maybe it's not LinkedIn. But so anyway, tell us how people can reach you, please.
Well, again, you threw out so many different things there. So again, watch the masses and go the other way. So I see everyone's going to Clubhouse. So I'm going, all right, how do I go away from Clubhouse? All right, I see everyone's going over here. I go, what is over here? Because usually that's where the success lies, where everyone's running away from this, stock that, for a coffee chain, I'm going to run toward it. Right. And by having that, it's called contrarian investing, contrarian, viewpoint. That's where the opportunities will lie, just for whatever that's worth. Door number two, you can find me anywhere. I mean, you can Google and go to websites, but the main thing is Instagram. I mean, just go to Instagram. It goes right to me, as you know, directly to my DM. And the only thing I ask for is specificity. I don't like to talk about the weather, what you ate for dinner. But if you sit there and say, hey, what's a good business book I should read, or what's a good connection over here, I'd be glad to get back to you right away. Now, normally when I do these interviews, I always get to drop at least 3 bombs, and I haven't done any yet. So before we
please
go,
absolutely.
I got to drop my bombs because we were just having more of a conversation.
And before you drop your bombs, I want to ask you a question. What is, not outside of your own books, what is the #1 business book you would recommend?
The Ultimate Gift by Jim Stovall. Unbelievable. It's one of the greatest books I've ever read in my entire existence. It's just phenomenal. So
I don't even have that book, so I am going to order it.
You're going to call me and thank me. So
okay,
it's just,
The Ultimate Gift.
Jim Stovall, he's my hero. And after I read his book, it was one of the only ones I ever read from beginning to end. In fact, I think it's the only book I've ever read beginning to end.
All right.
And at the end of it, I was sobbing, and I called him up because his number was in the back of the book. And he and I became really good buddies and are co-authoring a book together right now.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you.
All right, so here's my nuggets. 1, seek counsel, not opinion. Counsel's based on, wisdom, knowledge, experience. People have already paved the way, where opinions based on ignorance, lack of knowledge, or inexperience. If you go to a family friend and say you're going to write a best-selling book, they're going to talk you out of it to protect you. They know I got a D in English, and they've never written a best-selling book. If I go to Jack Canfield, who wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul, sold 1 billion copies, he'll say, before you get started, here's what you need to know, and give you counsel. If we would spend our activities only seeking counsel and ignoring people's opinion, that's a day your life would change. Nugget 1. Nugget 2, this is a doozy. Specificity. When I want to get access to people, I don't ask them to pick their brain. No one wants their brain picked. No one wants to go to dinner with you. They don't want to have coffee. They don't want to go to lunch with you. They don't want to be best friends. So what you want to do is have specificity. So I reach out to people. If it was the founder of NASCAR and I was writing a book called Stickability, I'd say, Mike Helton, I need 12.5 minutes of your time. That's it, I promise. I'll cover all my own expenses to meet you from California. From the moment that I walk through the door till the moment I leave will be 12.5 minutes. I'll start a stopwatch. I'm going to ask you one simple question. What gave you stickability to not quit? Well, the chance of him coming downstairs from his office to the break room is so high of that specificity, but people don't do that. Same thing. If I get off stage and there's 10,000 people in a line to see you, they say the nicest things. How can I be a contribution? How can I work with you? How can I be of service? I don't know you, and I can only have 30 minutes to do a resume check. There's a long line. Imagine someone coming up saying, hey, loved your presentation. Saw you on Instagram, 500,000 followers. I like your memes. I make memes for a living. Let me send you one. If you like it, maybe you'll use me. 10 seconds, I know who you are, what you do. You got my cell phone and we're connected. Specificity is the key, I'm telling you, to everything. And then last but not least, number 3, I wish I would have learned this one when I was a kid. It's called CPC. CPC. I learned it from Mark Anthony Bates. Clues, patterns, choices. It's accountability and responsibility for things that happen. It's your fault. Stop blaming other people.
Mhm.
So, for example, if I'm going to go out to lunch with a friend and they're 20 minutes late, anything could have happened, but they're 20 minutes late. There's a little clue. If I hang out with my friend going golfing and playing poker, and every time they're 20 minutes late, that forms a P, which is a pattern. Now it's my C, choice, whether I deal with it, yell at them, stop hanging out, or just show up 30 minutes early, but it's not their fault. They're just
Right.
late. Stop trying to change people to fit in your own little box. No one wants to be changed. But we'll see someone with a bad reputation in business. They cheat your best friend. You do business thinking it'll be different for me. Things go wrong and you're mad at the person. You saw the clue, you saw the pattern, you made the choice. It's like seeing a rattlesnake rattle, bite your kid's sister. You go to pet it, get bit, and you're mad at the snake. Looking back, rarely are we angry at relationships that failed or business practices that fell through. We're just mad that we stayed in too long because
Right.
we saw the clue, we saw the patterns, but we made our choices late.
Love it. Those are awesome nuggets, and I really appreciate them. I love it. I'm going to order that book right now, The Ultimate Gift. And Greg, I thank you. I look forward to collaborating further with you on many levels with specificity and clues and patterns and choices. And we will make good choices together. I'm quite confident of that. Thank you again. Have a great rest of your day and stay safe and healthy. This is Lauren Cohen, international lawyer and real estate expert, signing off today with Investing Across Borders, the podcast where we teach you how to invest, live, work, and play across borders. Thanks for joining us today with Greg Reid. Have a wonderful day. Take care, everybody.